In the late 1920s, the world was still healing from the destruction of the First World War. Nations were trying to build up their defenses, preparing for what might come next. Sweden, a neutral country known for its engineering, wanted to create new weapons to protect itself. Young engineers at a company called AB Bofors, which had been making weapons for years, were about to come up with something that would change warfare forever. One of the key people in this story is a man named Emanuel Janson. He was the chief engineer at AB Bofors and played a big role in developing new ideas. He and his team were tasked with creating a new anti-aircraft gun that was easy to move and quick to fire. Back then, airplanes were becoming a big part of war, so countries needed better ways to defend against them. The engineers started working on the gun in 1928. They wanted it to be powerful, yet simple to use. After a few years of testing and tweaking, they had it. In 1932, the first version of the Bofors 40mm gun was ready. It was different from other guns because it could fire 2 rounds every second and hit targets in the sky with ease. The use of springs and weights made it simple to operate, which meant soldiers could learn to use it quickly. Creating the Bofors gun was not easy. The team faced lots of challenges, like making sure the gun could be moved easily on the battlefield and dealing with the recoil, the backward force after a shot. They had to redesign and test many times before getting it right. But by sticking with it, they built something special. Once the Bofors gun was ready, people around the world noticed. In the 1930s, countries like the United Kingdom and the Netherlands started buying the gun for their militaries. When World War II began in 1939, the Bofors 40mm gun became famous for its ability to shoot down enemy planes, helping protect soldiers on the ground. Today, the story of the Bofors 40mm gun is important because it shows how people can solve tough problems with clever ideas and hard work. This gun became an icon in military history and influenced how anti-aircraft weapons were made in the future. Even now, versions of the Bofors gun are still used. It's a reminder that sometimes an idea from a small group of people can make a big difference in the world. In the early 1930s, the world was preparing for conflict. Countries were building up their armies and looking for better weapons. Sweden, known for its neutrality, had something special in the works. A company named Bofors was designing what would become the world-famous 40mm anti-aircraft gun. This weapon was going to make a big difference in World War II, but let's see how it all got started. One of the main people behind this invention was a talented engineer named Emanuel Janson. Emanuel, along with his team at Bofors, worked hard on making a gun that was light, easy to use, and powerful enough to take down fast-moving enemy aircraft. They wanted a weapon that could shoot rapidly and accurately. Over several years, they experimented with different designs and mechanisms until they had something that worked perfectly. So, what exactly did they create? The Bofors 40mm gun was a fascinating piece of machinery. It had 4 main parts: the gun barrel, the mount, the aiming system, and the firing mechanism. The gun could fire shells at a speed of about 120 rounds per minute. It used a clever system called automatic loading, which meant soldiers did not need to reload each shell by hand. This saved valuable time in battle. As with any big invention, there were some problems to solve. First, the Bofors team had to make sure the gun could move easily. It needed to spin around quickly to target planes in the sky. They designed a special mount that allowed it to rotate 360 degrees and tilt up and down. Another challenge was making sure it was light enough to transport. Soldiers needed to move it fast to different locations during battle. When World War II began, countries like the United Kingdom and the United States quickly saw the Bofors gun's potential. They started producing it under license, meaning they copied the design with permission from Sweden. By the end of the war, thousands of these guns were used all over the world. They played an important role in defending ships and ground troops from enemy aircraft. The Bofors 40mm gun is still important today because of what it taught us about military technology. Its design showed people how to make weapons that were not just powerful, but also reliable and easy to use. Even though warfare is something we hope to avoid, understanding the technology can help us appreciate the advancements in engineering and mechanics. So, next time you hear about historical battles, remember the Bofors and how it helped shape modern military defenses. Back in the 1930s, the world was on edge. Countries were getting more nervous and building up their armies. In Europe, some nations were worried about others getting too powerful. Sweden, being neutral, wanted to create something to sell that could help defend countries without taking sides. That's where a Swedish company called Bofors came in, developing a weapon to make defending the skies easier, the 40mm Bofors anti-aircraft gun. Key people in the story included the engineers at Bofors who designed the gun. They aimed to make something simple and effective. The gun was small but could fire shells rapidly to keep enemy planes away. Its size made it easy to transport, and it could be quickly set up almost anywhere, giving it a big advantage. When World War II started in 1939, countries like the United States and United Kingdom quickly realized they needed better ways to protect their troops and cities from enemy aircraft. They found the Bofors 40mm gun as the perfect solution. Its ability to fire 120 rounds per minute made it ideal for shooting down fast-moving planes. Plus, it could be mounted on ships or even moved around on a truck, so it was really versatile. Using the Bofors in battle wasn't without challenges. First, they needed a lot of people to operate it smoothly, a team of around 5 to 8. Plus, keeping it supplied with enough ammo was tough, especially during intense fighting. Training soldiers to use it effectively was another hurdle, as everyone had to learn how to work together under pressure. Despite these challenges, the Bofors played a big role in the war's outcome. By shooting down planes, it protected Allied soldiers and cities from bombings. Whether on land or at sea, this gun helped control the airspace, giving the Allies a better chance to succeed in battles. Today, the Bofors story is important because it shows how technology and good design can make a huge difference in a conflict. It also reminds us about the importance of working with allies and how sharing technology can lead to success. Plus, it highlights that sometimes small and well-designed tools can be game changers in difficult situations. This piece of history from World War II is more than just about a weapon. It's about cooperation and innovation in tough times. Understanding how the 40mm Bofors gun helped in the past can give us insights into solving challenges today, especially when it comes to working together across borders. During the Cold War, a time of big tensions and competition between countries, the 40mm Bofors gun played an important role. To understand why, let's go back to the end of World War II in 1945. Countries like the United States and the Soviet Union, who had been allies against a common enemy, suddenly found themselves at odds. They were now the biggest players on the world stage. Their rivalry was more about showing off who was stronger and better, rather than direct fighting, and was known as the Cold War. The Bofors 40mm gun, originally made in Sweden, became a superstar in World War II for its ability to shoot down enemy aircraft. It was easy to move around and very reliable. After the war, many countries held on to their Bofors guns, and they quickly became a staple in military arsenals around the world. Key players included the United States and the United Kingdom, who both found the Bofors essential for defending against aerial threats. During the Cold War, military technology advanced quickly. The Bofors gun was a flexible tool because it could be mounted on ships or on land. It worked pretty simply. Shells were loaded into the gun, and when fired, it could take down aircraft with precision. The gun's versatility and ease of use made it ideal for various military operations during this period of tension. However, with progress came problems. The Cold War was a time when many new weapons were invented, including faster and more advanced planes. The Bofors had to keep up. There were challenges in upgrading the gun to match these new weapons, and countries had to pour resources into keeping it relevant. Despite these challenges, the Bofors gun continued to be an important part of military defense strategies throughout the Cold War. Its success ensured that it stayed in service even as countries worked on creating new weapon systems. Today, the Bofors 40mm guns are largely a part of history, but their impact lingers. They serve as a reminder of how countries prepared for possible conflict, even if one never came to its full extent. Understanding the role of the Bofors guns helps us see how countries balanced power and prepared for defense. It also shows us how technology and innovation can remain significant over many years. In a world that continues to grapple with military tensions, the story of the Bofors during the Cold War reminds us how important adaptability and preparation can be. Back in the day, during World War II, the need for effective anti-aircraft guns was critical. Countries like Sweden were working hard to develop better weapons. One standout result was the 40mm Bofors gun. This Swedish invention turned out to be a big deal in the war. Its design was so good that it became popular with lots of countries, including the United States, the United Kingdom, and many other allied countries. But the Bofors story doesn't stop in the 1940s. It keeps going and evolving to this day. The original Bofors gun was designed by a team with significant input from a talented engineer named Emanuel Janssen. Engineers like Janssen focused on creating a gun that could shoot fast and aim quickly. The 40mm Bofors could fire about 120 rounds per minute and was excellent at targeting enemy planes. It was light enough to be easily moved and rugged enough to withstand the harsh conditions on the front lines. But what happened after World War II? Well, countries continued to adapt and improve upon Bofors technology. The basic design remained strong, but engineers kept making changes. They worked on more accurate targeting systems and improved materials that made the guns last longer. Over time, the 40mm Bofors got upgrades like radar guidance and electronic firing systems. Imagine taking a classic car and outfitting it with GPS, a new engine, and the latest safety features. That's pretty much what happened with the Bofors. With all these improvements, Bofors technology didn't just stay in the past. Modern militaries still use versions of the 40mm Bofors gun. These guns can now be found on ships, in the mountains, and even on some tanks. The cool thing is, it's not just about what the guns can do. It's about how they've inspired new technology, like advanced missile systems that protect our skies today. Of course, innovating and upgrading wasn't always smooth sailing. Engineers faced challenges like adapting the guns for new types of warfare and making sure they met modern safety standards. Every time a new technology emerged, like drones or jet fighters, the teams had to figure out how to make Bofors guns still relevant and effective. So why care about Bofors today? Well, this story of innovation and adaptation shows how good ideas can last and evolve. It highlights the importance of good design, continuous learning, and the courage to keep changing with the times. This legacy is not just about weapons, but about solving problems creatively and adapting old ideas to meet new challenges. In today's fast-paced world, that's a lesson worth remembering. In the early 1940s, the world was caught up in a massive conflict called World War II. Nations across the globe were involved, and things looked pretty grim for the Allies that included countries like the United States and the United Kingdom. With battles happening all over, a group of people found themselves in tough spots. These folks were soldiers on the front lines, relying on tools like the 40mm Bofors gun to survive and do their jobs. The 40mm Bofors gun was like a superhero for these soldiers. It had one job: to shoot down enemy aircraft. It was developed in the 1930s by a company in Sweden and became super popular because it was effective and reliable. Many countries, including the United States, the United Kingdom, and Germany, ended up using this gun. It was kind of like the smartphone of its time. Everyone wanted it because it worked so well. So how did it work? Imagine you are behind this big machine. The crew would load shells into the gun. With a quick move, they would aim it at enemy aircraft. The gun would fire several rounds in quick succession, creating a burst of firepower. It was fast, shooting up to 120 rounds in a minute. This speed and power made it a key player in keeping the skies clear of enemy planes. But using the 40mm Bofors was not easy. Soldiers had to deal with tough conditions. They might be cold, wet, and exhausted. And they had to stay alert for hours on end, always ready for an attack. Finding and hitting fast-moving aircraft required sharp eyes and quick reflexes. Teams worked together, often forming close bonds as they faced these challenges. Their effort was crucial for gaining air superiority. If enemy planes could not bomb the Allies' positions, soldiers on the ground had a better chance to succeed in their missions. Plus, protecting supply ships from air attacks helped keep essential resources flowing. We should care about these stories today because they show us the real experiences of individuals during intense times. They teach us about teamwork, problem-solving, and resilience under pressure. And even though the 40mm Bofors gun might seem like an old artifact, the dedication of those who used it continues to inspire. In the end, the stories of soldiers using the 40mm Bofors gun are not just about military strategy. They are about people who came together, faced hard challenges, and made a difference. Remembering them helps us understand history and the impact of ordinary individuals in extraordinary circumstances. In the 1930s, the world was getting pretty tense. Countries were gearing up for what would become World War II, and everyone wanted better weapons. That's where the 40mm Bofors gun comes in. This anti-aircraft weapon was about to make a big impact. The Bofors gun was made by a Swedish company named Bofors. Though Sweden was typically neutral, they had some great engineers. They designed this gun to be straightforward and effective. It could fire shells at aircraft quickly and accurately, which was exactly what many countries needed. One of the key figures behind the Bofors gun was engineer Emanuel Janssen. He and his team at Bofors really focused on making a gun that could be operated easily and maintained well. They wanted it to be reliable in combat situations. That hard work paid off, and soon many nations were interested in buying the gun. So, here's what happened. As World War II kicked off, countries like the United States, the United Kingdom, and their allies needed better ways to defend against air attacks. Airplanes were becoming a huge part of warfare, and stopping them was a top priority. The Bofors gun, with its 40mm rounds, fit the bill perfectly. It could fire 120 rounds per minute, which meant it could create a wall of fire in the sky. Now, let's talk about how this works in simple terms. Imagine the gun as a sort of really powerful hose spraying bullets, but these bullets explode when they hit something. The gun is mounted on a platform that can swivel, so it can aim quickly at enemy planes. Soldiers trained to use the gun could make it turn and fire with speed and precision, protecting their troops on the ground. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. There were challenges, like making sure there were enough trained operators and ensuring the supply of ammunition. Wartime production was hectic, and keeping this going was a big task. Factories had to keep working around the clock, and training had to be fast and efficient. Despite these challenges, the Bofors gun quickly became a favorite for the Allies. Its ability to defend against enemy aircraft played a crucial role in battles across Europe and the Pacific. After the war, its reputation made it a sought-after weapon for many countries, affecting military strategies for decades. So, why does this matter today? Well, the Bofors gun was more than just a weapon. It was a technological breakthrough that showed how engineering can change the course of history. It also set a standard for future anti-aircraft systems, influencing modern military design. Understanding how it worked helps us see how a combination of good design and teamwork can make a big difference in the world.